Yo, welcome to another episode of the BJJ GOONS podcast. I am your host, Tim, aka the Mushmaster, aka Grips of the North Star, aka Jits Bay, aka Mr. I Heel Hook White Belts with the gi on because I train for the streets, aka Number One Stunner, aka King of the BJJ Deathmatch, aka the Trainwreck God, aka Trillmonger, aka the Best Match Machine, aka Fuck Your Rankings, I Want All the Smoke, aka the Elkridge Strangler, aka the Underground King, aka Blast Double Poppy, aka Musha T. And my co-host, as always, is
Hey everybody, it's just, Nico Ball, no new Nico. I have been working on my AKAs actually, and I think I've finally come up with one. Like last week, Tim told me it was a process, and we also talked about secret training. Now, not that I am secret training or anything like that, because I will deny it till death, but yeah, I've been killing everybody with the crossface, so they call me the crossface killer. So I think I'm working on that one, but I'm not sure. I think I need to certify in competition. I don't know if training counts, but I'm working on that. So I'm working on that.
Hey, it's a good start.
I've been cranking that neck. I just been cranking. Anytime anything doesn't work, I'm just crank the neck.
Works.
It's been working on me. So,
Works every time, 40% of the time.
Yep.
Indeed.
All right, and today we do have a guest back today. This week we have a friend of mine, the owner of Layout Optics. I don't know if you guys are hip. You should be, because there's not that many BJJ companies, and I think there's only one that makes sunglasses. So today we have Lionel Turner. Hopefully I'm pronouncing your name right with all the languages. Lionel. See, Lionel, it's all the languages. I never pronounce the L's and R's.
Like Lionel.
Like Fernando, he's Puerto Rican, and then he goes with no, it's just reals. It was no Spanish accent, no Brazilian accent. It was just, so Lionel.
Oh, shoot. Hold on. Did I sign out? Did my sign out?
No,
Hold on, Jimmy.
No,
you have to go on your account. Okay. Sorry, my son's actually doing a Zoom meeting too for colleges. He has Angele, whatever college. That's recruiting season right now for. So he tried to jump on my account, so I saw it say it. I signed out, so he had to jump onto another one. But I'm still here, so it's all good.
That happens to me all the time. I teach via Zoom, and I have all the problems. But yeah, you're still here, so.
All right, cool. Hold on, Lionel, aka Weird Guy with Sunglasses, aka the guy who just wants to north-south choke everybody because it's a safe position, aka want to neon belly everybody because that's all I really know how to do, aka 4-year white belt, aka used to be the fat dad in the stands and I get to take pictures at Worlds. There we go.
Nice.
Hey, he's a lot better with the AKIs than I am.
I know, right? First time.
Hey, I should write these down. That way I remember them next time.
Yeah, that should be the intro at all times, like King of Thrones.
Straight up.
All right, so what's up? How have you been doing? We were talking a little bit before we started that you're over in Northern California.
Northern San Diego, Oceanside,
Northern San Diego.
SoCal. Don't do me like NoCal. We don't.
No, I'm sorry. The northern part of Southern.
It's like New York City. Everything's upstate except New York City.
Yeah. Indeed.
Yeah. So you train at 99 Academy with Tellis, correct? Or
I train with Tellis from time to time. He's HQ in San Diego. I'm up in 99 Vista. Professor Mark Hopkins and Martin Figueroa. That's who I've been with. I've been with Mark Hopkins since I was white belt back since 2008. He's my second instructor at the time. First started Nogi. I started Nogi with Subfighter, like Russ Mira, Rick Estrada back in 2007. And then that kind of whatever. That's a long story there. And then been with this guy. Mark Hopkins is one of my best friends since 2008. And then Martin was a brown belt at the time. They were promoted to black from Carlos Valente, core belt Carlos Valente. And then that's the story. And then we ended up associated with Tellis probably 2012 or something like that. And ever since then, so to go train with Tellis is nothing but a car ride down the street, pretty much.
So what have you been doing? Have you been training during quarantine? Has business been going? What have you been up to?
Man, With the quarantine, like it really messed up obviously the training. It's so much so that I'm actually sitting in my garage where we ended up having to build our own gym. I've got to build, I got a little 10 by, if I can show you, boom. We ended up having to like build a little gym because we had nowhere to train. And my wife trains too. She's a purple belt. One's about to be
Oh,
a brown belt.
awesome.
So, you know, but there's been some health issues where I wasn't able to train enough. So really training wise, no, little bit. We have the space for it now, which is cool, which is great because I always want to build like a studio to take photos, product photos, and things like that. And I'm one of those people whose garage was really really messy. So I always open my garage door, look at it, and go, man, I really wish, and then would close it. Well, this kind of motivated me to actually do something about it. So I'm stoked about that. But training wise, haven't trained as much as I would love to, like to, need to train more. But that's at first it was all everyone was quarantined trying to take it serious, and it was like, damn, hope the gym would open up. And then I don't know if you guys know what Grappling Corey Cass from Grappling X. He runs a uh, a tournament that runs on the West Coast and into like Arizona, Texas, I believe. And when my kid was competing way back when, those are the tournaments we went to. I hit him up, said, hey, I know he sells mats. I know they build like elevated uh, mat space for gyms. And he comes across mats all the time. He's selling them. And he's like, hey, matter of fact, I got them. And I went and picked them up. He's like, yeah, those are Galval's old mats. So I have at those old mats inside my gym.
Hey, nice.
It's kind of cool. So ended up building a place. So like last week, which is cool, I had a couple of guys from Alliance. San Diego Alliance, where we're like Jenna trains, Johnny Faria's place, and a couple of the guys come over and train. So I want to start doing more of that. When people come into San Diego, cruise by, have some lunch, come to the home gym, train, do some technique, interviews, something along those lines. So that's the plan. But business wise, I kind of shut things down for a while. I didn't think it was appropriate to kind of market and try to sell sunglasses at first, especially when the virus first started hitting and people were more concerned about their safety and going indoors and things. I'm kind of weird. I'm very particular. I hate being the weird guy. I hate being the salesman guy. I hate when I first started the business and walk into places, and I always felt like people like, that's the weird sunglass guy. I don't know. I just felt weird about marketing to it and just seeing where the climate was going and things. I'm really in no crazy rush to build business more so than build brand. I'm like maintain relationships. Um, like I've always said the only way my business fails is if I stop. I just got to keep the brand alive and keep it real and keep the relationships alive and try to keep moving forward. But at the same time, I didn't want to be too desperate because I didn't know what was going on. I had a lot of plans for this year that I want to do a whole lot more media, and then just like monkey wrench in the middle of everything. And with I sell sunglasses, yeah, but it isn't a jiu-jitsu market. And when that gets shut down, just people for the most part don't have a lot of money, and my product is a quality product, but it's not super cheap, it's not super cheap at all. So I was kind of waiting. I'm just waiting for timing. I'm waiting to see things open up, and I have some new styles that are definitely coming up. I'm coming out next month. I'm trying to right now. I'm starting to go. Okay, well, this is either going to go away or it's not, or we're gonna have to adjust and adapt. And people are doing that. Zoom is blowing up. People are teaching on Zoom, so it feels like the new. It's not going anywhere. People staying at home is not gonna stop people from doing it. It's a lifestyle. So right now I'm kind of coming out of my shell just a little bit and seeing. I'm a one man show and I try to run off of zero. I have a zero debt business, so
yeah.
I don't have the money to throw out the wall and see what sticks, which is probably a good thing because it makes me have patience. Whether it's forced upon because I don't have the finances, but it also makes me look things. So, oh my gosh, I'm so happy I didn't come into this business with a shit ton of money because then I know I would have blown on the wrong things.
It's wasted so easily.
Yeah,
You gotta be so cautious.
Yeah, because you just think, oh, if I just do this or sponsor that guy or come out with this or collab with, if I just put on ads, and it just doesn't work that way, man. I'm not I don't want to say confident, crazy, stupid enough to do that. I'd just rather sit back and just feel good about what I'm doing and feel confident about what I'm doing instead of I've done it. I've thrown money at the wall before and you watch it stick and you just watch that shit fall off and I go, damn. It hurts, man. It hurts, especially now. So, but
Very
it's going good. I can't complain.
Hey, that's awesome. I mean, like, if you can't complain and you have no debt, and as a small business, I know, like, you just kind of got to weather it out. A lot of people that have a lot of overhead are either going to go out of business or they're really, struggling in some way. My favorite restaurant in my neighborhood is going out of business, and I'm so sad, like, they didn't
Mine too.
survive COVID.
Mine too. That's a buddy of mine, and we're kind of food snobbies a little bit. My family, my kid comes in. He's an eclectic palate, and we just like quality food. And I broke down with this local guy who has a restaurant called the Flying Pig. Him and his wife, and they're just husband and wife, passionate people who just made one of the first gastropubs in North County at the time. They were my favorite, still are my favorite restaurant, and they ended up opening a couple different locations and going through the whole grind and trying to do what they could do. And then this hits, and they're just they're losing their savings, they're losing everything, their dream and everything. And it sucks when you see that happen to people who are just doing it solely out of passion. Like um, passion's contagious and infectious, and I think that's really what more people want to see and feel from people. And when you have a restaurant, you see people who are really doing something they love to do. It's sad. It's always sad, and I've spent so many birthdays there. I'm literally like 10 in a row or something like that. My son's had birthdays there, and shooting when my nephew got drafted last year, that was where we had the party for the dinner afterwards. So it's sad because he's just great people, and that's just one story. How many gyms of people that we know that are shutting down. It's sad.
It
But
really is. All right, so this episode we wanted to structure it or talk about really money in the industry, right? So not everybody's training. Some people are picking up that secret training or they're getting back on the mats, but for athletes that aren't training, that aren't doing anything, athletes that have lost sponsorship because most sponsors are not paying out or have canceled contracts. So we want to talk a little bit about money and marketing in the industry. I know Tim is a sponsored athlete. He's also, an athlete that has his own product. He's an athlete that sells something. He's not just, looking for the sponsorship. That's a little bit different.
That's awesome.
I'm a blue belt. The only sponsorship I've ever had was in like Rio, where I had like laundry sponsors, which was amazing. But I run Favela Jiu-Jitsu. So through Favela Jiu-Jitsu this year, I was sponsoring 3 athletes. So we'll talk a little bit about that. And then I also work for Trinity Kids Project. So that's like a social project. And like I've worked with like corporate sponsorships for that project. So that's a little bit different. And then I know how many athletes do you sponsor through the?
I use the word sponsorship loosely. I think sponsorships typically means you're paying somebody.
We all do, and that's what we really want to break down in this episode.
Yeah,
what we
I don't. I
types of agreement.
Like
how many people are in
typically
this family like that you have. Then we'll call it. I don't know.
30, 40.
Really?
It's easy though because I'm like I don't have competition and my thing's different. It's not like a gear. It's not like a mouthpiece or something like that. But at the same time, I very loosely like if I say I sponsor somebody and this is they know and it's not like I'm saying it's more me. I'm a firm believer. I've had very 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 like well respected people like bow to me when they meet me. And I freaking hate that. I lost some weight. I was a fat dad who was in the stands. Like I'm so humble I'm more of a fan than I am like a business owner, I guess. Like I'm just there. Like, I'm at Worlds taking photos. I'm at EBI taking photos and I'm a kid. I'm like, I genuinely, when I have somebody apologize for their loss, whether wearing my patch, they apologize to me for their loss up there. I have to like grab them and go, what the fuck are you talking about? I'm here doing this with a camera. These guys all paid to watch. You're up there. Don't ever apologize for your win, your loss. Like we all get choked out and killed every single day. Like, don't ever apologize. Back to the drawing board. Oh my God, no! You got tapped. You got beat. It doesn't, dude. You're up there. You're a warrior. So I walk into the idea of a relationship with an athlete with that first and foremost. I don't it's more about what I can offer you more so than what are you going to do for my brand. So I tend to build a relationship with people based, and I'm honest. I go, listen, this is who I am. I'm a one man show. I built this all. I'm the janitor. I'm the salesman. I'm the CEO. I'm the delivery man. You know, I'm everything. And I've been fortunate enough that I feel like I'm genuine with people. I'm very honest and transparent. So I have a lot of people who will support my brand, but I don't. You know, I say I sponsored Samir Chantry. I sponsored Nachieli, you know, as far as like financially. So, but and then there's been other people who hasn't. You know, I just there's no money there, but I try to support as much as I can in other ways. Like, you know, I've had it's the coolest thing. Like, say Christina Barlong has been with me forever, ever. That's an amazing story how that ended up coming through. And before I ever met her, I already knew I'm married to a Filipino. So, and I like Control Geese at the time, and she was sponsored by Control. And I was like, I know, oh shit, I know you get it. But I,
Was she one of like the first people that you ever
yeah, yeah,
sponsored or helped out?
her Danyaj, Josh McKinney, Wu Tang Pete were very early on. Tell us right away to tell us, because you know he just did it out of love. He gives me the utmost support. Just he's just happy to see somebody coming from like legacy. Tell us is in the legacy. Tell us like to see like today. Tell us like tell us is the most loving person in the world. And one day he goes, my acceptance of people isn't me. That's today. That's what he taught me, and now I pass that on. So that's kind of like, you know, but Samir and Christina Barlon. But Christina, when she competes, she's a totally different person than she was the day before. She's very, you know, whatever. Daytime, like I don't talk to her. And then I'm like I said, when I walk into places, I don't want to be that weird guy. So if I'm there, like taking photos of somebody Matt's side, I even still feel like I don't want to be the person who's like there. I don't, you know. And then when you're off, when they're win or lost, they go to their friends. I try to stay in the back. I don't want to be up in the mix. I don't want to feel like I'm bugging and intruding, because I know I kind of want to be aware of where my place is.
Hmm.
But at the same time, when they come back and they go, just thank you so much for just being in my corner and taking just photos, being there all the. And I don't know this until somebody tells me. You know what I'm saying? So financially, I don't. I can only do like what I could do, but I try to back it up with more being there, more being more caring, more. That's all I got. That's the only economy that I could afford, really.
Mhm.
But at the flip side of that, I was able to be there when not Shelly double gold, you know. And when she got double gold that year, I went to go say, you know, congratulate and take my camera. I didn't do anything like that. I just wanted to say thank you. It's like an honor. I'm a fan. You know, it's an honor to be part of it, to have my patch like on you. It's an honor to be there and watch her and even more like the moment they had from there. I know what it means. So it's and 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 their response to whenever that was like, you know, money's cool the whole night, but just that support for what we do also means that's the only economy that I could really, you know, afford with a lot of people. So I really try to double down on that genuinely, because I'm genuinely like a fan. You know, I've got to meet like my idols. You know, like I remember when I first started jujitsu, and I was at my instructor's house at the time after UFC, and then he get to go to UFC, and he just leaves. He goes to his Mac on his table, and he's watching Marcelo. I know who the hell Marcelo was, and I go, "Who's that?" He goes, "It's the goat." And I was like, so then I was like, oh, okay. And then so it was always Marcelo. I love Marcelo. When I first saw him in real life, I was like, you see Marcelo, you're like, that's him. And
Right.
so and then it got to the point that I got to meet him. And it got to the point where he knows my name. Got to a point to where, you know, seeing and give a hug. You know, one of the greatest moments, I was at Worlds, and he was leaving early after I forgot who just won or lost. So he's going like to the airport, and I leave, and I'm parked right in front of the pyramid, and I'm out there with a little orange thing on, and get my camera. I need something to drink. I just got to get away from working all day long. And he's like 50 yards away, and he's walking. He sees me, he goes, and waves. I'm like, dude, Marcelo's just 50 yards away from me. That's the craziest shit. But
Mhm.
I take all that into account now. So I feel like people who get to know me and support my brand, I'm very transparent about who, what, and where I come from, what I have. But then they also I feel like they feel from me that I genuinely am trying to offer what I can. You know what I'm saying? So that's a long story about why I got so many people who are willing to support. But I'm also not delusional about what I'm offering. You know, I'm just trying to offer support, and I have some pretty cool sunglasses right now, and I'm trying to build something. And a lot of times they'll respond back with like, "Hey, I just want to help it grow too." So
Yeah.
that's kind of where I am, you know, and as far as sponsorship and building within um, the athletes. But I'm more just a fan, you know, and I'm blessed and I'm humbled by those who are willing to support on some level. And when it comes to a point to where you know, Ali, I've had some great time with hanging out with Ali, and there's some things that he is, you know, will do. He's wearing, he likes the brand, he's wear the glass will post. But when it comes time to getting stuff on like say if I want my patch on his shorts, he's like, yo, I need this much money. You know, I can't do. That's respect though. That's an athlete doing his job. You know, and that isn't. I don't. I could do what I could do, and if an athlete says, "Hey, I need this," I've had other ones go, "Hey, I know the time's rough right here. My other sponsor's saying this, no this. My key only has so much space." Hey, man, I'm more into the friendship. I'm more into the relationship that we could build, because I don't like business, for lack of a better term. I don't really. My wife's like, you're the worst businessman in the whole entire world, and I kind of am, because I don't look at it from a financial perspective. It's like when I tell my kid, you know, I used to be that crazy dad, the crazy jiu-jitsu dad for a while, and then my whole mind's changed into like, just do your best, do 100%. If you do 100%, good things always happen. If you always do your best, good things always happen. Win or loss, if you walk off the mat and you know you did your best, good things more than not. You lost somebody's better than you. You lost somebody's better than that day or whatnot. I try to do that with my relationships with people, um, because I know in the long run that that's going to help build me internally better, and my relationship with people in jiu-jitsu. Because one thing in jiu-jitsu is it's the same reason why you could talk shit to your jiu-jitsu friend and no one's going to care, because ultimately the pecking order has already been, everybody knows who can kick everybody's ass, everybody knows who the best is, so you're able to say the craziest things to your jiu-jitsu friend because we already know. We already know. And that's, for me, it's that same kind of like mindset that they already know where I'm coming from. They already know what I'm offering. They already know what I'm about. I'm not delusional about it. I don't come out and say, you know, I don't overhype who I am, what I have, my brand. I just try to keep it real. I'm just a jiu-jitsu guy who wanted to make something and took my name, took jiu-jitsu. I like sunglasses, and that's what I built. And the people who, you know, like they'll if they like them, I go, hey, can we partner up? I go, this is my partnership. This is what all I can offer right now. I don't have the finances. Like, hey, it's all good. Let's just build something. So, but at the same time, I try my best not to take advantage of anybody, you know, because I know I'm not paying them. I don't demand that you. Oh, I want you to post. I want you to this. I want you to. Like, I'm not paying you. You know, that's most important to me. You know, and I think that reflects the same way it reflects if somebody who's building a gym and you see their passion behind it, a restaurant, you see the passion behind it. They want, you know, they want you to follow them as a fan in jiu-jitsu, their passion behind it. I think, like I said, I think that's what people are actually craving more so, because in a world where you see people who make a lot of money and they're assholes, and you see a world where people have no money and they're beautiful. I think that it's that common ground of that passion for life, which you have.
I think one thing that you really bring up is that everything you said is based off the expectation that somebody would know you. And most of the time when people are looking for sponsorship, they're just shooting in the dark. So nobody would know any of that stuff that you just said. And I think one of the biggest problems is that people ask for money without taking the time to even figure out any of that about you. So it's like they would go and they would ask for a financial sponsorship without knowing that the company is only run by one person, you know,
Well, yeah.
and like, so I think it's really important that when you go and like ask for a sponsorship, that you're really asking, like, you know, what company that you're asking for, you know, kind of what they want from it. Like you see what their image is, and, you know, just by like perusing through their Instagram, their website, their posts, you can kind of kind of get an idea about what it is. So one thing that I wanted to ask you is like with, you know, because again, there's your friends, people, you know, fans, people that will see you at tournaments and have that relationship that will hit you up. But there's always those people that will slide into your DMs, and people generally have like, so some horror stories. So I wanted to know, like, maybe like one of the most annoying or the worst things that you have heard from an athlete that's trying to get sponsored.
I had a guy who's like, it's really quick. Hey, let's partner, sponsor, blah blah blah. No. Sorry. He was talking about buying something first. Actually, he was like talking about, hey, this style, this style, this style. And he goes, this is who I am. And so I checked his Instagram. Just one of those black belt world champions I don't really know, and I'm like, oh, okay. And I'm kind of, and I'm like, well, shoot, I will might even give you a pair just to give you a pair, just to get just as, you have influence. And he came back with like, oh, only one pair for a world champion. What's up? And I'm like, and I was like, that one right there was just. I'm at home. Dogs in the back. That right there, baby. Gemini, dog, please. That right there is pretty slimy, I guess, for lack of a better term. And then the one that really gets me the absolute most is, hey, I could be a great fit. I could do this. I could do that. Go to Instagram and it's a private page. And I'm like, really? Okay. Or, hey, I'm going to go to tournaments and I'll wear your patch at tournaments and whatnot. And I'm like, who's going to see that? Your teammates, your mom, your dad, and the person you either beat or lose to. That's not what I'm looking for. I have a lifestyle product in the jiu-jitsu lifestyle. I want to see you do a jiu-jitsu lifestyle product. So I don't think people really understand what their worth is. And they may think it's too much. They may think it's too low. They may not be doing enough. Like, okay, with people, when they hit me up like, hey, I did this, I won XYZ. Pretty much you're telling me is you do jiu-jitsu and you're a competitor, you want to get sponsored. And I go, oh, well, that's the reason why you're talking to me. You're a competitor and you want to get sponsored. What else do you do?
Mm-hmm.
What else is special about you? What is your story? What would do? Are you a good shit talker? Are you also a firefighter on the side? Are you a married couple? Are you, in an Asian community doing some stuff? Are you doing outreach? Are you have a YouTube channel? Are you have a podcast? Are you doing something else other than, and right now, as the times are now, we're seeing how important that is. Because when people can't compete, if you're just a competitive jiu-jitsu person, you need to learn to adapt and you learn to build wealth. I give a perfect example. Buddy, a black belt, one of our black belts, Corey, he just beat Barrett Yoshida at Fight to Win. He's legit dude. He started just late too. He's like 42. Started just doing. He was like 30 something. He started just so late, and he's good. I know he won. I think Nogi Worlds. He won Nogi Worlds. He won. I think Dan Gi. Whatever. Anyways, and he wanted to fight. I was like, hey, bro, you got to get this Fight to Win thing. And he was like, man, I don't know, man. They don't really pay, blah, 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 that much. And I'm like, bro, you do IBJJF and you pay them. What are you talking about? I'm like, you need to do this. I go, you have to understand some shit. I go, it's different nowadays. I go, if you want relevancy, you're going to have to go outside of your shell and offer something. That way people come to you. They have to see, because he has the most amazing stories. Like, the dude was driving to the airport for UFC 1 to pick people up. UFC 1.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. I'm sorry to interrupt. Could you go back and just repeat that thing about relevancy and then just continue again? I think that was a golden point.
Yes.
You said if you want sponsorship, you got to bring something that's relevant.
Yes. If you want sponsorship, yeah, you have to bring something that's relevant to in a platform that's relevant as well. Like it has to be something that's going to touch me in some way. And going back to Valente, he has these beautiful stories that you would love to hear during a seminar. But in order for people to know about these stories, you have to go outside and share these stories and not expect someone to pay you for the sharing of. Like, people should be out there giving up free technique all the time. Why would you not? Like, learning it from real quick technique, you have thousands of them, should be offering that on a relevant platform for people to go, yes. And then they get bought into. I'm a big believer in Gary Vaynerchuk. I love Gary V. And if you listen to him, he goes, I don't have any courses. I have a book, but I don't charge my info. Why? Because one, most of you motherfuckers ain't going to go out there and do it in the first place. You're just getting entertained by me. That's number one. But why when there's so much more? Like, I give it to you for free. Why not? I believe in giving things away for free like that because then people are willing to support forever. And that's what I feel like more athletes need to be focused on, that to be relevant at more than just what you do in those, 6, 7, 8, 10 minutes on the mat.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever it is, more than what you do with your medal around your neck.
You got to stand for the culture in a way. Hello?
More than any of that, because as a former fat dad who's just, I'm like, look what Kurt Osiander did. Like, the guy's not a champion. The guy just went out there and he resonated with people who believe in like that style. Hey, I like that attitude. I like the way he thinks, and that resonates with people. So you can expand at what it is, especially with this Zoom and their computers. We could talk like this. This shit we could do on our phones to edit nowadays and whatnot. It's endless, but it's more imagination than just being the athlete. This isn't the NFL. This isn't Major League Baseball. This isn't. It's not here. It's here in the jiu-jitsu individuals more so than like that highest level that you never get to meet, because that's like, how it is in jiu-jitsu. You never get to play basketball with your favorite basketball player, but in jiu-jitsu you could actually roll with your idol. It's an actual possibility. So it's relevancy. Going back to like with Valente, who's an older guy, who's an older guy, but he has amazing stories. You need to introduce it on a relevant platform. Like I hit him up. I say, I want to do something where I cruise over and I get an interview with you, and either we get one of those sketch drawers to draw it real fast, like a story, like stories about like riots breaking out because somebody, ankle locked somebody at an old Brazilian tournament or something like that, or going to an old school, like going to somebody's gym and say, hey, you're not a real black belt, and how they beat somebody's ass, because that shit really happened, especially back in the days. And he has these cool stories, and I think sharing that would be really cool. Saying that individual, making him more relevant to today and to a younger crowd, because who doesn't like great stories? Who doesn't like hearing about, history of the things that you're passionate about? And there's not enough. And that's just one. But other people, like, what else are you doing other than just jiu-jitsu? And I don't know, in California, we're about to be, I don't know, call it lockdown, pseudo lockdown. I don't know what the hell we're gonna call it now.
Going back to phase one.
Yeah, we're back to phase one pretty much. So everything's shut down again.
Wait, you're back to phase one? I swear I've seen people training today, like, oh, Jenna Bishop's women's class is opened up.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure they are, because people aren't going to go back into it. But as far as government wise, yeah, Newsom is like masks mandatory everywhere, shut down everything. Like restaurants, no more. I don't know if they said gyms. I know churches, nah. So it's like people are going to ignore. So now they're daring.
We were talking about this last episode. We were saying that people would rather die or have someone else die in order for them to not be inconvenienced.
Yeah.
We're living the strangest times right now, and especially with, like, say, with jiu-jitsu, where it's a contact sport. Everything's contact. There's nothing more contacting except for maybe wrestling in a singlet. We're just living some crazy times.
Yeah. And it's hard to lose focus, and it's hard to stay relevant. But like, I think as a professional athlete, if your goal is to be a professional athlete, you got to think about like the long term.
Yes.
We haven't been able to train for 4 months, 6 months. We haven't had sponsorship. We haven't had a competition, but you still kind of need to find a way to be relevant. I know, like, Tim's been working his ass off. Like, so Tim, can you tell us, like, all right, so we are people that sponsor, or I'm pointing at stuff. So me and Lionel sponsor people. You as a sponsored athlete, when COVID happened, like, what happened for sponsored athletes? For those of us that aren't making any money, we're not impacted. Like, so as a sponsored athlete, how has COVID impacted you?
Well, for me, one of my sponsors just stopped paying me. They just told me, like,
but there were you have a contract, so there were contract implications, right? Or did he just kind of ghost and stop?
No. So what the problem was I'm always particular about contracts. So if we're going to talk business, I'm going to have a contract signed. I'm going to uphold my end. The other person I'm going to safely assume is going to uphold theirs. What ends up happening is this stuff pops off, and all of a sudden they say, we're freezing your contract. And I'm like, okay. And they just did it without really consulting me. They just said, we're going to do it. So I'm just like, yeah, I'm just like, I have no say. I was like, are we going to do an addendum to the contract? You know, because it's supposed to end at a certain time. If you're saying we're cutting it or we're freezing it, that's on the back end, but I'll be asked out because on the paper says the contract ends this time. So that was kind of frustrating for me. But the good thing was that I already started building my own brand and making my own merchandise and building up my own, you know, my own business, building up myself. So people know me for certain things. They know the podcast, they know Mushmaster, they know the Mushmaster story. They know that I teach, they know that I have seminars. So I was able to adjust. For other guys, I'm not too sure that they were that lucky.
It's relevancy.
It's about relevancy. If I was just
Relevancy.
somebody that didn't say nothing and just trained and didn't, you know, try to galvanize the jiu-jitsu public or, you know, my subculture within the subculture, I'd probably be asked out.
Mm-hmm.
There's a certain jiu-jitsu guy who I admire, but my understanding of him is that when it comes to anything outside of competition, he's just he wants to train and compete. As you get older, what are you building with the time that you spent on the mat, competing, winning championships and whatnot? And in jiu-jitsu, unlike, say, you know, say a professional, you know, world athlete in any, you know, I'm talking the big ones, NFL, baseball, and whatnot, they play and then they retire. And hopefully they have like something else they go do afterwards, but typically they have enough money. I feel like in jiu-jitsu, you're not making enough money when you're competing, but what you're building is that legacy that's going to last. Whether you're building associations, you're building your training videos, you're doing a seminar that's getting booked, and you're putting on great content, you put in nice areas, and you're building this this brand that takes either, whether it be, you know, lower income big or you know, rich people on a beach somewhere, but you're building something with that for what you did when you were competing. I think that's what's most important for a lot of jiu-jitsu guys. With this one particular guy, his seminars are known for being just absolutely boring, zero interest, zero whatnot. And what I think competitors need to be focused on is what they're also going to do when they're not competing anymore, and start building that now. So you start building this idea of what, if you're going to be a teacher, well, then you start building that now and you start giving it away now and doing it now. Because as you build and evolve, you're not giving any technique. No one's going to learn your technique and they have a secret move to beat everybody. It doesn't work that way, man. Like, come on. Like the most basic arm bar from a white belt to a black belt, it's only two different things. That's called experience.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it's this idea that anything is like top secret is crazy, but just building whatever it is that you want to do afterwards. You want to build associations, start getting the ball rolling, get the ball rolling now. Start getting that idea, throw it out into the world and see what comes back at you now that you said it out loud. Like I told somebody I'm going to start a podcast here. They said, you have to. I see you have to. I said, well, I'm saying it now. Therefore, I have to. You know, I've been wanting to do a podcast forever. I just don't. I'm one of those type of people who, if I don't have it all laid out perfectly, I won't do. Instead of just like, you know, like, who cares about your logo? You can always change it. But essentially what I'm trying to tell what people should be doing now, especially this is not scaring the shit out of a lot of people, then, but it's also an opportunity. It's also, you know, like I said, my kid's on a Zoom meeting right now with colleges. They weren't doing this beforehand. This is something that they had to evolve into because of what's going on. Like there was a guy who used to make saddles, and when the cars came out, if he didn't change into making boots or making car seats or making whatever was used for leather into changing what was going on, he died. And that's just it. So jiu-jitsu is not going to go anywhere. If we end up, man, if we're all sitting here with plastic over our houses and bubbles, we're still going to be having some online course right here. It's not going to go. It may not be as big. It may not be as much money, but the people who are doing it, who are doing it right, they're going to attract the people who want to have that. And so as individuals who are competing, what is your niche? What makes you sparkle? What is it? what is it? And you have to find that, and you have to, like, water it and then harvest it and then replant it and water it, harvest it over and over and over again, because then you have something that you've built when you get done.
Yeah.
And what if we don't compete for the next couple of years? What? So then what are you going to do? Can you start up a good blog, put video content together, be a curator? Do you have a lot of friends that you just start your interviewing podcasts? There's never too many. There's never too many podcasts. Well, podcast is an hour long. How many hours are there in a day? There's no competition. Like, there's no real. Come on, talk about restaurants. Your favorite restaurant, you love it. Like the only restaurant you go to? No. You go there for a special event. You go. There's really no competition if you have a quality product.
True.
That's reality. If you have a quality product, there's enough. The world. So, hey, these guys are making glasses like yours. I'm like, no, they're not, because they're not in jiu-jitsu. Like they're not. Like, mine has a heart. Mine has a soul to it. And there's 8 billion people in the world or whatnot. There's a lot of people here. It's not, but at the same time, there's a lot of people out there making bullshit. A lot of people out there faking the funk. There's a lot of people out there acting like, two-faced, or they just think it's easy. They're not really for the grind. Like, man, running a business, building a business is a lot like trying to get a black belt in jiu-jitsu. It's a freaking grind, man. It hurts. It's just days when I had 0 sales for days and I'm at the top. And then there's days where, I'm getting great sales in a day and I'm just at a low because something else is messing, and that's just the way it is. But if we're talking about money in jiu-jitsu, where it's already tight, most people in jiu-jitsu are scrounging just for their tournament fees or for their dues. There's not a lot. Most people just don't have a lot of money. But in 2020, there's never been a time easier to make money if you're good. All the platforms are here. Everything's here. You can reach out and call somebody. You can get a hold of anybody like that and build. There was a guy I hooked up Ali with the dude who's out in your area, and he makes like hip hop jiu-jitsu shirts. So they're like old school. So he'll take like a Biggie quote or something like that, and then change that with jiu-jitsu type whatever thing. And it's like, cool. Now you're taking something that you could build off of something like that. Yeah, that's cool. People will identify, and that's great. Other guys, man, you just have to figure out something, because jiu-jitsu is not going to pay you with jiu-jitsu by itself unless you're, Gordon Ryan's probably making pretty good money right now. I'm assuming off straight jiu-jitsu and whatnot. I'm sure there's a couple of others. I know Shaji makes really good money, but they have an association and they built it. There's a perfect example right there. You see two brothers who built some stuff, and then now they have it.
I think like it
takes time.
Yeah, I think the one thing people don't understand is that it takes time, because I've been working with Favela Jiu-Jitsu since like 2015, probably, like building the brand, building the Instagram, like doing t-shirts when I needed to finance things. And, I did a lot of it on my own, and I didn't have that much help from people. And sometimes, like I would ask for help and I would only get a little bit of feedback. Or I remember I asked somebody to proof something and give me their feedback, and like, they're just like, that doesn't say shit. And like that was all. And I was like, all right, well, like, you do marketing and this and that. Like, well, what should I do? And da-da-da-da-da. But that's all I got. And then I just kind of had to go back and like revamp the website. And then I sent it to them again. And that was when they opened up. When they saw that they gave me barely anything. And then I took that and I did something, and I came back with results. They're like, yo, you came back, like, you changed your whole website within a day. And then they started giving me feedback. So it took me like, I had to go out and I had to try. And I hate every time I make a drop, like, I'm worried about the quality. I'm worried people won't like it. Like, I'm so nervous. But like, you kind of have to put yourself out there, and then you kind of get that criticism back, and you have to look for it. You need that constructive criticism, because you can't just quit thinking you're the shit and you're not.
You have to be open, like.
And then once you start doing that, like, doors will really start opening for you. Like, people will start guiding you in the way that you need, and it will really help you find your path. Like, you were talking about Ali. Like, first of all, Ali's helping me with something. He just hooked me up with a person. And then when he was like, he gave me somebody's contact, and he's like, yeah, you don't know I'm a computer programmer? I was like,
what?
Muhammad Ali.
Start talking to people though. That's the thing about building the community around you.
I was like, Muhammad, you're a computer. Because I always forget, like, Muhammad is like an anomaly. He's like a little
smart,
baby.
dude. He was like super smart, man.
And he runs around like he's like 120. Like if you ever see him trying to like Granby, he acts like he's like 120-pound kid. Like it's like,
Yeah,
yo,
that
you're
seems
kind
he
of a
does is ridiculous.
I was like, you're a computer programmer too. I was like, that explains a lot because like he's taught himself Adobe Premiere, which is like really hard. Like Hal Teague from Flow Grappling spent hours teaching me how to use Adobe Premiere. And
Can't do
like
it.
Muhammad was just like YouTube up till 3 a.m. Like
I can't. I'm ADD and dyslexic, so it's like the fact I learned how to do Lightroom for photos is to sit there and actually learn a program like that. Typically, I just look and blah, and I just can't. Like I can't. I'm the kid who just can't sit in class. I can't sit and focus on things that I don't really care about,
yeah.
especially like a computer. I hate it. But I started doing photography. I started doing photography because I paid for product photos before,
Me too.
and I
That's
go
why I needed it.
and I go, no, I can't afford this shit. So I had a little bit of money, had a couple $100, and my wife worked for a company at the time that gave her over time you would get credit with like kind of like their store thing, and with there you can go online and you can get it from different other stores, and Best Buy card. So you got a little Best Buy card, that's some money, and I got my first little camera with 2 little lenses and whatnot. And I would just go to gyms for the grand openings, and I would say, hey, can I just take photos and I'll give them to you for free? Just put my watermark on it. And that's how, and I look back at my old photos and I'm going like, those are horrible.
Yo,
But
your
that's
pictures
how,
are getting sick. Your pictures from
thank you.
last year.
Really
I was
nice.
like, yo,
Thank you.
you had some fire. Because then it was like, I didn't even know about the photography. I was like, oh yeah, the sunglasses. And then I think it was after ADCC, I was like, man, because I was there taking pictures too. I was like, man, his pictures is coming out fire.
I fell in love with photography. I never thought I would ever. That's another thing that like jujitsu, I started a brand, and then from there I learned photography. And it was like, it was crazy shit, man, because I just started doing it, and I would just offer, and I would go to places. I wouldn't even like bring my sunglasses. I wouldn't offer to sell that. Like I was like, oh, I didn't bring anything because I hated being that guy. You can go on the website, I'll deliver to you. I don't want to, like I hate being they even pull my box out, and I hate it. And so, but no, let me give you guys some photos and whatnot. And then Samir hooked me up with a guy from Tatami, the magazine, Tatami mag. And so we were shooting for them for like 80, EBI 789 or whatnot. The one which is cool because that's the first one we did was the one where Bill the Girl came back and he was in the finals with Eddie Cummings. And then so I ended up meeting with Bill before that, and then he wore my rash guard in that finals, and I was like, oh shit, finals at EBI wearing my rash. I lost my mind. To me, that was like fan heaven. Like yeah, because I it's EBI. I was like stoked. My kid was shooting too. I was doing interviews in the back, and my kid at the time was 13, and he was on the stage like shooting. A big ass kid I showed you earlier. He was like 13 at the time. He's shooting, maybe 12 or whatever. And he ended up getting published online for it. Like at 13, like you're published online for photography before me, and shit. But that was just, and went from there. And then I met some people, and I'm shooting the 5s. That's where I went the Hill. And he came out here for the 5 in San Diego. And I got this cool ass photo. I forgot who he was going against, but he's like kind of like neon belly, leg all out. And I was like right in the stage, like right there. This crazy photo. I'm like, dude, that's so dope. Got to do worlds. Doing worlds the first time. I was a freaking kid in a candy store. I was just so stoked to be down there with just to be down there with the press thing on. I'd look up, man. I was up in like last year. I'm down here, and I'm a fan. And one of the photographers were like, oh, I guess they let anybody be a photographer down here now, huh? And I'm like, I'm a sunglass slinger. I ain't a photographer. And I always tell people that I'm a sunglass slinger. I'm not a photographer. I do this for my business.
You gotta hustle, right? Yeah.
But here's the deal, though. Here's the way that I look at it, because I actually got in a debate with that same person before about photographers giving their things away for photos for free. Photographer, she goes, don't give you for your craft, blah 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 blah. And I go, see, I disagree. This is the point. This is the point that I really want to hammer into people is like, the economy isn't just the folding bills in your wallet or how much credits you have, that little plastic card. Your economy is what you can get. What you want, can you get it? And how do you go about getting it? It could be being kind. It could be through product. It could be through a barter. It could, what I'm saying? Like, I do this for you. You do this for me. It costs nobody nothing. For me, take a photography and then reaching out to the athletes helps build my brand.
Mm-hmm.
I do that genuinely, but if I was a brand owner, I'd have to pay a photographer to go out there and do it so that I can give it to them. I don't see what the differences is except for I'm cutting out that middle person. I'm the one actually doing the work. So for me to give them away as a brand owner who took the photos isn't the same as a photographer trying to snipe everybody. And at the same time, gives a fuck hustle. Like if I want to give my shit away free, it's mine. My value, my economy is based off what I get in return from it. It may not be monetary money. I don't need dollars. What I may need is that exposure. I may need your commitment. I may need your friendship. And later on, that's going to get me something. So I look at it I look at it big like that, not just this exchange. Also, as being the photographer down there, I'm the one rubbing elbows. I'm the one wearing my brand, my hat. So when you look in the stands, and I get into it, I try my best. I love it. That's the thing. I don't want to take photos. Sometimes I tell people because it's work for me. I hustle. I ain't the motherfucker just sitting there going, oh, click. You know, I'm hustling, getting rid of the old ones real fast, and it's hard work for me. But I love doing that. But at the same time, when you're up in there and you're looking down, you see Leo Optics down there. He's down there on the mat associating with the people that you came to see. That's also brand. It works for me in all ways. I'm able to meet everybody. You know what I'm saying? I've gone so wide where I don't say everybody knows me, but I know for the most part they know of. You know, and that's cool. It's cool to be relevant in this, and that's ways in which I maintain that. Is through photos. Always, if you go, man, I'm genuinely a fan. I want to keep hammering that. So I'll meet somebody at a combat jiu-jitsu and I get a crazy photo. I'm gonna send it to him. Say, hey, this is an amazing photo. You know, I gotta bro down with Umanari when he came out last time off photos that I gave him. I'm like, dude, I'm talking about legends. It's fun for me. I enjoy it. It's humbling, and I'm able to try to build a brand in it. You know, so it's that, as far as the economy wise goes, going back to what jiu-jitsu practitioners need to be doing, especially during this time, is we buy what we need with money, whether it be your nice house, your car, your food, you know, whatever it is, taking care of your kids. I think in jiu-jitsu, we know a lot of people whose economy is the love and the training and the camaraderie and the reward and the grind they get from those around each other. And they're not, a lot of them, especially when they're younger, they're not looking for the financial isn't as important. So for them during that time of their life, that's their economy that soothes their soul. And I'm looking for things that help soothe our soul, because you can be as rich as you want, get all the money you want, but if you're not happy and at peace with yourself, at least striving for that, that's important. Then that'll shows. But when the rug gets pulled off from underneath you, do you still have something to stand on? Is kind of what I'm after. And you get that by when. Huh?
I got you.
Yeah,
I got you.
You get that by when people are willing to do things for you in return out of the kindness, out of their heart, the willing to support out of the kindness. It means there can't be business there. I mean, I hate working with people I don't like. I won't work with you. I don't care what the business is like. If I don't like you, I'm not going to work with you. And so having that kind of view on the way that you approach people, the way that you approach business, you'll probably lose a lot of money on the table sometimes if that's what's important to you. But you're also going to build things that are going to last. And in this market, and with this crowd of people, where bullshit gets sniffed out so fast, when nobody wants to be cheesy in the jiu-jitsu lifestyle, nobody wants to be that one, and cheesiness, you get blown up on Reddit all fast. It's important that genuine heart is what people see in everything that you do, especially during these times, because when you don't want to be known as the one who just fell off and forgot about everybody. You don't want to be known as the one who always wanted something from somebody. You don't want to be that person. I think that shows too much in here.
That's a really good point. Because when you say, first of all, when you're talking about being authentic, you have to be authentic. People really gotta believe in what you're saying, and that you want to help the company. Because I've heard other companies talking about sponsored athletes would come to them and be like, oh, I'm sponsored by so and so, but I thought you could give me a better deal. And so the guy was like, oh, that's how you feel about your sponsor? You're just gonna do them like that? You really gotta be there. And then there was a kid from Cicero Costa, and I slightly feel bad because I kind of kirked out on him, but he kept asking me for free shirts. And I don't I've done this thing. It's I have Favela Jiu-Jitsu, but I only produce the shirts in the United States to sell kind of in dollars and send the money back to Brazil to help social projects.
It's a charity thing. It's a charity.
The problem is
Isn't
everybody
it?
in Brazil from the favela wants the damn shirts that say favela jiu-jitsu that I sell in America. Like, so I've created a high demand for these damn shirts in Brazil, and I can't get them to athletes. So anytime like people from the city of God come to California or to Portugal, I'm always trying to ship these shirts out there. So I told this one kid from like Cicero Costa that I would send him some free stuff at Europeans. But the package I sent to the kids from the city of God didn't get to the kids from the city of God before they left to go to Portugal. And he didn't get his shirt. And then the pandemic started. And he kept asking me about this shirt, like like right when it started, quarantine hit, like, and then I'm like, yo, people are dying. And you're asking me for a free shirt? Like, what is your problem, kid? Like, and I was
Yeah.
like, do you have no heart? And he's like, no, I didn't mean it like that. And I didn't let it go. And I was like, clearly you did, because I made a comment about the pandemic and you're like, oh, well, do you know when you'll be able to set, like you followed up with another, like, so clearly you did mean it. Like, so don't try to take it back. Just accept the fact that you were being kind of selfish, not thinking about anybody else. And it's like,
Not a
business
shirt.
is going out of company. Like, you don't even know if I'm going to survive the pandemic and you're asking for free shit. Like, you are from a
Yeah.
social project. So like, yeah, represent, but don't, like, now's not the time to be asking for free shit. Now's the time to be worried about,
Yeah.
like, are people eating? Like, do
Like
you,
when I told you I stopped marketing. I stopped even trying to sell. I was like, I feel weird. Like, I don't want to be, hey, buy sunglasses while you're wearing your mask and worried about dying. Like, I'm like, come on.
and
That's
that's
kind of
me.
rude.
But like on the other, like I haven't been able to stop marketing. So like, you know, I actually, that's how I kind of started working with Tim. I was like, yo, Tim's got some t-shirts in his closet and I'm paying for this Shopify website. And I was like, we about to raise up off them t-shirts and I'm about to take $5 from every single one of them and send that to the favela. Like, so, and I was just posting today, I've sent over $2,500 to Rio since the pandemic.
Okay, can I get a free shirt?
You can get a free shirt. Yeah, you can get a
Can I
free
get a
shirt
free
because you
shirt?
sent me a whole free gi. You sent me a whole free gi, right? Like, so
She has all my
I don't have a
has
gi
all my
sponsor.
shirts at the crib now.
You know,
So.
we're at World. She was like, I like that gi. I'm like, I can get you that gi.
Yeah, he did, and he did. It took a while. And it's like
It
that's
took
my
a while.
sponsorship. I get a whole bunch of free crap, but like I have no sponsorship. Like I have all the hand-me-down gis. I've done jujitsu since like 2006, and I've maybe ever bought 2 gis in my life. I'm like I have one of Moicano's gis in my closet right now. Like I'm a
I used to buy gis all the time. And I've not now. I pretty much I'll trade gis. Somebody come up with a brand new gi, and I'm like, hey, like there was somebody started. I said, hey, you want to do a trade? I'll post. I like gis. I'll trade you. And a lot they're like, yeah, you know. So I'll just
System
shit.
is undefeated.
And then we could both market. Hey, shout out to so and so. Shout out to so and so. It cross promotes, and I used to buy gis all the time. Now I get free gis because I'll do trades.
Because you built a relationship. I guess that's the whole key of this whole money and jujitsu thing. Building
Relationship building, man.
and
If
just helping each other out.
Here's my thing that I always said is like, you may not like my sunglasses. You may not buy a pair of my sunglasses. You may never even want to buy a pair of my sunglasses. But damn it, when somebody asks about me, you're going to speak well about me. You're going to say, oh, he took care of one of my friends. Oh, he took care of whatever. Oh, yeah, I have a friend who ordered it. It was cool. Or, oh, yeah, I got a, it's got to be something positive. You know what I'm saying? Because I try my absolute best because especially in small ass world, we could all get on Facebook right now and see that we all have mutual friends from around the whole entire planet.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We all do. That image of yourself in this market is so freaking important. When you grind and sweat with people and you know that people grind and sweat with other people and all that kind of stuff, it's different than just like, oh, I want to buy a pair of cool sunglasses that are from XYZ for no reason or no heart or no soul behind it. It's extremely important to me that people speak positive. Not like, oh, he's the man, but just like that's a good guy. He's allowed. He's welcome. He's one of us. There was one time this alliance opened up locally, and I was starting to really work with a lot of people in the alliance San Diego. I started dealing with them a lot when Ali came down to the seminar. Ali did a seminar at the alliance. That's when I met Ali, and I started really like hanging out with that group a little bit and getting inside there. So a lot of the alliance black belts are there, and Jenna's against the wall. Jennifer's against the wall, and she's sitting there, got that rolling, and I'm rolling with this one dude, and I ended up pulling off. I went there that day, and I donated a bunch of stuff for them to kind of raffle off for their thing and whatnot. But I didn't bring. I said, I'm not selling. I'm not taking photos today. Typically, I'll take photos and do that
Question,
shit.
Lionel, I have a
Yes.
question for you.
Yes, sir.
Speaking of which, that sounds like a really good story. How about we bring you on our later episode, because we have questions about different dealing with the industry as far as
Okay. Absolutely.
How about we bring you back? This is like really good content, and like really very informative. Is there anything last shout out that you want to give before we wrap?
Yes, and I'll say I was in the Josh McKinney show, and he asked the same thing about anything I could leave off with, and I said some bullshit at first, and I stopped. I said no. With this time right now going on, there's this one girl was like, "Oh my gosh, it's gonna be like a new baby boomers. Everybody's stuck inside their houses," and I go, "No, we're gonna see suicide go through the roof, or we're gonna see domestic abuse go through the roof like a mug. Know your family and take the time to learn to know your kids. Don't get to know your wife or your husband, your family, the people you're indoors with. Don't just walk past them and think, oh, that's my kid. He's doing okay. You know how teenagers are. No, look in the eyes of your spouse. Look in the eyes of your kids and find out where they are and who they are. I think that is one thing. And I, at this point, I'm proud to boast about this is the relationship that my family has with each other. I'm so beyond blessed, but a lot of that is just honesty and lack of, there's no apathy in our house. Like when things are bad, it gets addressed, you know. And I think that people are allowing that to go on for too much. So I know there's about a business thing and whatnot, but this has really been on my heart, is that I know a lot of people during this time when like when I said I went quarantine, I'm fine. I love my family. I'm happy. I know my kid. I could talk with my kid. I could talk with my wife.
But other people, you're saying we should have empathy.
We definitely need to be empathetic.
Gotcha.
We definitely need to be way more empathetic and no apathy as far as things that are bad in our homes and our relationships. Don't just let it kind of just go and fester and act like it and not address it. You know what I'm saying? When you see a look in your kid's eyes, see a look in your wife's eyes or your husband's eyes, or you see that look, don't act like you don't see that look. Don't act like that you know somebody who you don't and you haven't taken the time to know. And I feel like, and I see I'm around a lot of kids, especially around football, because my kid plays sports, and I see it, and I see this motion, and I feel like one of the joys that I have in my life is actually knowing my family and loving them. And I feel like a lot of other people, they don't actually take that time in conversation enough.
For real.
I really, and I strongly feel that way. And I always get the relationship goals shit from, about my wife and I. And I'm like, are you sure what actually goes into that? Because it's work. It's going outside the comfort zone.
Nico?
And that.
I was just going to say, I think that's a really good point. And then, like, in the times we're in now, and I have a lot of friends that are just, like, really frustrated with, like, the silence in the BJJ community, or, like, the assholes in the BJJ community that they didn't realize were assholes. And I was like, well, that's because of lack of that, being really able to sit down and realize who a person is and talk to them. Generally we just have like these really light, fleeting conversations. Hey, how are you? Let's go train. But like to really acknowledge, when a person's like struggling with something, or, it's really, sometimes we don't really invest in people's feelings or social emotional development. So I love that you came on here and like made the point, like Aaron Hurley style, to really like think about mental health. That's really important in a time like this.
Yeah, and I used to be one of those people who are like, I don't believe in that. And now I'm getting older, and you start looking, it's like I do it. Like I used to, hey, my kid was doing this wellness class. It came up the word empathy. I'm like, oh, what are they teaching you guys? And now I'm like, no, I'm actually a very empathetic person. In debate and discussion, you can't talk to somebody until you're wrong without being empathetic where they come from. Like you can, you have to know where they come from to understand them and to meet them where they're at. It's just, this isn't rocket science, like this isn't rocket science. You have to know and understand. I think that starts at home. If you can't know and understand your own kid, your wife, like I see people dance around the kid like, oh, there you go. He's a teenager. I'm like, fuck that shit, boy. Come here. Let me look you in the eye and talk to you. It's real.
It's all about relationships. It's all about building relationships.
That's it.
All the
brother.
story.
That's it, brother. That's it.
All right.
Nico, anything you wanna plug before we wrap?
No, not really. Just all the normal stuff. I was posting today again on Instagram that I'm just super impressed because I have sent over $2,000 down to Rio. We actually had somebody match that, like, with their pension from Brazil. So, like, we've in COVID funneled like $4,000 in emergency salaries to instructors from Day Kids Project. So if you'd like to know more about that, check that out. That's TERERE. You should all know who Fernando Day is, though. Day Kids Project.org. And they got a whole bunch of stories, videos, photos from the social project. So go check that out. And then again, this episode is about money and marketing. I think the biggest takeaway is that it's all about the relationship you can build, whether you're looking for sponsorship or just, looking to be in a training space that is a safe and fun, happy environment. It's all about really trying to build those connections and relationships. So thank you so much for coming on the episode today. It was a dope conversation.
Thank you. Thank you for
Yeah,
thank you.
thanks for your
Thank you.
time.
Thank you for having me. Like I'm blessed to be here, to rap with you guys. Tim, fan. I've always been a fan of your guys' gym. Remember, when I met DJ at my first Worlds, and I was like, DJ Jackson. He said, "Yeah, I've seen this before." And he was like, "I'm like, hey, hit me up on Facebook. I think I have 5,000 friends. Just message me. I'll just kick one of them off." And I'm like, "Cool." And then I started like rap with him a little bit. But you guys have an amazing gym. The things you guys put out there, like nobody can talk shit. It's one spot. You guys are laying it down. So mad respect to you guys' camp, man. Like for real. But
Thanks,
I
man.
got 3 new styles coming out pretty soon. I don't want to get too much into it though. But that's my little plug. Dropping next month, I believe.
Awesome.
We're gonna post it, man. You just tell us when it's dropping, and we'll collab with you.
Awesome. Speaking of which, Nico, do the collab for the Saturday Favela Project.
Yes,
we still gotta do that.
It's our 20th anniversary, so for sure, once we hop off this call,
it's our 5th.
Hey,
it's our 5th. So
awesome.
Cool, man. Cool. But I had a great time. Guys. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Anything for me is TimSpriggsBJJ.com. Get you a mind map. Get a match critique from me. Also, you can follow me at TimSpriggsBJJ. Go to FavelaJujitsu.com store for all Tim Spriggs merchandise. If you see anything that's not from Favela Jiu-Jitsu, it's fake and you will be clowned. We got new black and the white Mushmaster tank tops because it's hot as hell outside.
Mm-hmm.
More merch coming very soon. We're developing. Follow us on YouTube at BJJ Goons on YouTube. We have a playlist with every episode. Even if you're not watching, just press play on the playlist and just play all our stuff. And that's it.